Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Maintaining our health, particularly our heart health, is very important to us as a family.
Your heart gives you time with family, time with community, time to pass down what matters. Protecting your heart helps keep those moments alive. A visit with a healthcare provider can be one step toward a healthier future. Learn more at hennepincounty.gov/hearts-beats. Your heart health is essential because your heart beats for generations.
Time is running out to experience Uchi Said So at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This powerful exhibition by Daniel Seawalker shares Native stories rooted in collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold portraits and vibrant color, the work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture and reminds us that sovereignty begins at home. Closing June 6th, don't miss your chance to experience this powerful exhibition. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 44, Thursday partly sunny with a high near 66, and Friday partly cloudy with a high around 65. And make sure you support Hennepin Arts as they're presenting the Tony Award-winning new musical, The Great Gatsby, running June 2nd through 7th at the Orpheum Theater. It's based on the classic American novel by F. Scott Fitzgerald. Find tickets at hennepinarts.org. That's hennepinarts.org.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Because all the hippies are trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues. And human issues are Native issues. Hey, we got Robert Liligren later on today, but first I want to bring up our friends from Walk On Teepee, and we're going to have a nice little discussion here. And I would love if, first of all, welcome, and that backlighting's killing my eyes, by the way. Hey,
is it really?
Welcome to Native Roots Radio. I'd love it if you guys introduce yourselves.
Sure, bonjour, Anine. My name is Louisa Harstad. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of Programs at Wakan Tipi Hawaiian Gapi. I'm also a citizen of the Bad River Nation in Wisconsin.
I'm Delia Touche. I use she, they pronouns. I am the Exhibits and Interpretive Programs Manager at Wakan Tipi, Sister Wapitan, Dakota, and Assiniboine, and I'm enrolled in Spirit Lake Nation.
Oh, welcome you two. Hey, I'd like to, before we get into this big event that's coming up, just give a little history to our listeners about Wakan Tipi. And I know just recently the name officially changed. Well, maybe it's more than a year because, well, you know, I'm old, so just recently, it could be 10 years from now. But you change officially. The name was changed to Walk On Teepee, and that was a great reason to celebrate. And now we have thing coming up this week, and a grand opening of sorts. Let's talk just a little bit about the history.
Sure. Yeah. So our organization's previous name before Walk On Teepee Wyangapi was founded as Lower Failing Creek Project, and that was in 1997. So we've been going almost 30 years strong here. It was founded by local environmental neighbors here in the East Side, St. Paul, and we became Native-led when our executive director joined in 2019. And now we're also a Native-run organization, so that means the majority of our staff are also Native identified. And so, yeah, we changed our name to Walk On Teepee Wyangapi for many reasons, but one is to really acknowledge the land that we're on. Lower Phelan Creek Project was what we were originally founded for, was because of the creek, and we wanted to daylight the creek here on the east side and create more green spaces. Now we are an organization, a Wyangapi, those who take care of Walk On Teepee, which is a sacred cave here where we're located.
Yeah, and that's beautiful. And I know that cave, birthing cave, and many things that were done over centuries in that cave, and it's great to have that. I was down there with students planting sage and the berries and some other things too. About I want to say 5 years ago. I haven't been teaching for 5 years, so it must have been around 5-6 years ago. And I just hear that there's a lot of revitalization going on in that area too.
Definitely. Yeah, we have a whole land and environment team that really focuses on restoring the land that has been desecrated over the past 100 or so more years here with the railroad coming in, industrialization, lots of pollution. The land that we are located on was also, an informal dump. And so our team is really here to restore the land to the place that it deserves to be, and also engage others to restore this land. And so a lot of those experiences, like the one you shared, is to engage volunteers, Native and non, to help us take care of this land.
Too, one of the things that I remember, and I don't know how much, but when I heard it at the time, I remembered it was so much that there was a lot of cleanup down there because it was a dumping ground, and the railroad tracks are right next to it. Do you remember how many tons of fresh earth was brought down there? I mean, besides a lot.
Yeah, there was a lot in 2005. There was definitely more than 1 ton.
I was thinking maybe I should talk in feet. Maybe I think it was 10 feet raised or something like that.
That's a good question. I don't know all of those details, but yes, we had to completely give the land and restore all of the soil that's on this land. And this land is that we are stewarding right now is 27 acres. So we're still working on making sure that once after that initial restoration was done in 2005, that we're continuing to add new native plants, remove any displaced relatives or invasive species. It's a constant effort that we're having to make here to make sure that the land, the soil, the animals are all healthy.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing because right down the road, in a sense, up the hill, is sacred burial mounds too at Mounds Park, and so that whole area is a sacred area for many reasons, and it's just been amazing that this organization's been able to do this, and amongst all the things that are happening politically, that you guys are still moving forward on this great project. And that kind of leads to me, I want to talk a little bit about this in this segment, but I also really want to talk about it next segment. But we have a really grand opening celebration coming up, and let's talk a little bit about that and get a little tease before we have to go to commercial.
Yeah, so one of the initial well, I guess I was going to say initial initiatives for this space, and what a steering committee was put together to decide how we are going to engage people with this sacred site, with the land. And they wanted an interpretive center here. And so that is that's our building. That's the building where both Delia and I are sitting in right now. It's called the Wakan Tipi Center. It's been many years in the making. We're finally having our grand opening next Friday, May 29th. We're so excited to welcome everybody here. We'll have an exhibits hall, event spaces, a teaching kitchen, a lot of interpretive materials for folks to learn about Dakota culture, language, and really like engage and learn about basically all the history that's here, not only on the site, but within the Twin Cities metro area as well.
What time?
11 a.m. to 2 p.m. next Friday. And actually, Robert is going to be our MC. So if you like hearing him speak.
I'll always love to use the applause button when I can. Hey.
Yep. So he'll be there with us celebrating. And like I said, it's been almost 30 years in the making that we're finally able to have this center, welcome everybody here to this beautiful space. It took a lot of partnerships. It took a lot of community members involved to visualize what this space could be, what we wanted it to be, what it should be, to really recognize the history that's here and still living, and also to really make sure that we're not making a huge imprint on the land, because we are an environmental organization as well. And so our building is also set up to be net zero, and we have geothermal heating and cooling. So solar panel ready. We're really excited to just make sure that this building is light on the landscape, but also a place that people can come and learn.
Hey, we are with our friends from Wakan Tipi, and we're talking about the grand opening coming up here Friday, May 29th, and at 11 a.m. And we're going to talk more about that and talk more of the history. And this is really good. I finally got you guys on the show, and you know, we're pretty good friends. We see each other in community, so this is it's about time you're on, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having us.
Right on. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Oh, wow. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Warmer weather, sunny skies, summer is here. At the Walker, this means mini golf is open on the rooftop. Artist-led activations return to the hillside, and the cinema has a series of curated films. It's the perfect time to visit. Gallery admissions are free every Thursday night and free every day for members and citizens of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org/summer.
We are your relatives.
We are your relations.
Brothers,
sisters,
sons,
daughters.
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Time is running out to experience Touche Said So at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This powerful exhibition by Daniel Seawalker shares Native stories rooted in collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold portraits and vibrant color, the work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture and reminds us that sovereignty begins at home. Closing June 6, don't miss your chance to experience this powerful exhibition. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
I'm
Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We have our friends from Waukon TP Center, and we're talking about the grand opening, a little history of that area. I have a quick question. Was that called Bruce Vento Nature Center at one time? Am I correct to hear that?
Yes, the Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary. Yes, we recently, last May, it was actually Waukon Tipi and Wichahapi, which is the Indian mounds above that you were referring to. They were redesignated as a cultural landscape. That's now called Imani Jaska, which is the traditional name for the area that we're at, or St. Paul, which stands for the white bluffs that you see along the Mississippi River. Yes, it was called Bruce Vento Nature Sanctuary, to answer your question, and now it's called Waukon Tipi, and it should be updated in your Google and Apple Maps that way.
That's cool, and I'm just curious too, because I'm a St. Paul resident. Is his family, because I know he's been gone for a long time, is his family getting any recognition during the opening, or do you have anybody coming from there? Because it's really interesting that that it was started and then it was handed over to basically our native relatives, which is such a really great thing that whomever did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure. I don't know how exactly who all is going to be speaking to that on the day of the opening. I know the folks that are speaking during the opening are a few of our elected officials who have helped make this whole project possible. We have our board chair speaking, our executive director. We have our architect who built the building or helped design the building. Sorry, didn't build it himself. But yeah, so we have definitely some partners speaking at the event. And then we'll be doing an honoring for our cultural advisor who's been helping us over this past 7 years as well. But that is a good question, Robert. I can definitely take that one and follow up.
Can people still register? I know it's only a week away, but can people still register?
Yes. So we ask folks to register. It's not necessarily required. So yeah, folks can register. We're not going to be checking people in at the event. We just want a really good idea of how many people are coming. And actually, we're really excited to share. We have almost 600 people registered to come. So it is going to be a large event. A lot, yeah, full house, full outdoor space. Our building can only hold comfortably, probably 150 or so people. So a lot of the time that folks will be spending will be outside enjoying the outdoor exhibits, our patio, our gardens, our fire area, all of our exhibits that are outdoors. So on the walking paths, maybe take a little stroll down to Waukon Tipi. So it'll be a very large event. Make sure you plan to give yourself extra time to get here. As you may or may not know, there's also other active construction going on here. The Kellogg Boulevard Bridge is being reconstructed. So there's limited parking. So we have also a free shuttle service that's going to be taking folks from a nearby parking lot to the site as well. So just prepare yourself mentally and physically to get here and give yourself some time.
Do we have the location of that parking lot? Because that's so funny. I was going to ask you about that because I did see some. I saw the letter that you guys send out talking a little bit about that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we will have the location set out. So that's one benefit of signing up and registering yourself for the event. We won't close the registration form. So yeah, we'll continue to communicate to that group of people who have signed up all of the event details, where to park. We'll have some elder parking nearby and some invited guest parking close to the building. But then we're asking all community members to park, a little further off site. They can either walk from that parking lot, which is about a 10-15 minute walk, or they can take the free shuttle too. So yes, all of those details will be there. We also will have some social media posts we'll be sharing between now and then. So since we're a week out of some what to expect on how to get here. So all of those details, if you didn't sign up for the event, will also be on our Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, I like how I just signed up during the commercial break. I I bring my own cone too, so I'm sure there's a MC parking spot, and I'll just get my own cone out of my truck and
Carve it out.
yeah, that's how I roll. But hey, we're talking about the grand opening of Wakan Teepee Center, Friday, May 29th. It's starting at 11 and going till 2. And I really always appreciate when I looked at that because you're serving food with to our relatives, the vegan and gluten options. And I always really love to see that. And even though I didn't click on it because my wife's vegan, but don't tell her I'm gonna have, regular food here. But, so why don't we got a few minutes too, and I wanna talk a little bit let's talk a little bit about what you do, for Walk On TP, that's, and tell us what your jobs are and, how long you've been with them.
Yeah, I'll start, which will lead right into Delia's position. So, I'm our director of programs. So, operationally, I oversee all of our public engagement programs with community members. So, we have different types of programs that like volunteering on the site. We have cultural programs, we have artist workshops, we have language tables. We just had a beautiful language through song workshop for Dakota women last night. So we have all types of cultural programs, land-based programs, educational-based programs to engage people with the land. And also we have exhibits and interpretation type programs. So I'm going to turn it over to Delia to share a little bit about what she does with that.
Yeah, I help Louisa a lot with the programming, but also part of my position is managing and kind of curating the permanent and temporary exhibits that Walk on Teepee. We have permanent installations. Like when you first walk into the building, there is a star map that was created by Upstream, and Jim Rock was a consultant on that. And you can see, orientate yourself with the night sky. Right now we have the spring constellation, so you can see the Thunderbird, Chinchasha, and the teepee. And then around the star map is Dakota Moons or Dakota Lunar Calendar that was created by Katie Bendixson. And then also our rotating exhibitions. We have 2 going on right now. One was curated by Cole Red Horse Taylor, and he really captured the history of the land in that exhibition. It's called Tiwahe. And he just wanted to really showcase the long history of desecration and also revitalization of the land, and really wanted us to remember that native, non-native, this place is our home, and we need to treat the land like our home and like our relative. And then our other exhibition is Weon, a creative force. It features women artists we're going to collaborate with this year on programming. The artists are Rubia Buck, Elena Eagleshield, Thomasina Topbear, and Leah Thomas. So there's ribbon skirts, there's cradle boards, there's contemporary artwork in the mix too, and each one of those people are going to host a program in some way. Thomasina did some youth mural projects. We have a new mural by her, and you'll see that once you arrive. She painted our storage container. Now it looks beautiful instead of just a big block of metal. And then we have our outdoor exhibits as well. When you go along the trails, there's audio posts, so you can really engage with the site and hear our stories. And Cole Red Horse Taylor and Katie Bendixson also contributed art to those as well. And there's a sculpture by Willard Malbear. He created a bee habitat for all kinds of bee pollinators.
That is beautiful. And aren't you an artist too?
Yeah, that's outside of work though.
Well, this is my radio show, so you can talk about it.
Yeah, so when I go home from work, I work on my own studio practice. I'm a bookmaker, printmaker, and a quilter, or I work in textiles. Yeah, sometimes I'm too tired for that though.
Yeah. Well, is there a website people can check out your work?
Yeah, deliatouche.com, and then my Instagram is @Delia. It's the phonetic pronunciation of my name.
Can you say it a little slower? Because we have senior citizens like myself.
Oh yeah. Okay. My Instagram is @DELEEUHHH. But if you type in my name, it should just Delia Touche. It should just appear.
Well, and I really like promoting artists, and we talk a lot of politics on the show, but I really want to promote the arts and artists. So that's why I'm digging deep, especially when I was trying to find a picture of you to put up on the banner. I caught your other websites and LinkedIn's and things. So I just wanted to promote you real quick. So we got what do we got? About a minute left here. Let's talk about this one more time. So Steve is the architect, right?
Sam Olbixson.
Sam. Yeah. And what other politicians do you want to name drop? Who's all going to be there?
Well, the City of St. Paul Mayor, her is going to be there. And yeah, we'll have some county and city and state electeds represented at the grand opening. So yeah, we're excited that all of them are taking the time out of their day to share what they, in the great accomplishment, as well as share, how they may have contributed to this project as well.
That's really cool. And I like how you have a Ho Chunk in the front there doing the emceeing. And I mean, we've been here 10,000 years, so that's always a good thing. Oh, wow. So
yeah,
website or any website for more information?
Yes, it's walkontipi.org. That's WAKANTIPI.org. You can do /events and see some of our events that we have going on, including our grand opening, to sign up next Friday, May 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Well, you guys have been delightful. Really, we got to do this more often, and I'm dead serious about that. We'll see you very soon in the community. So I appreciate you coming on.
All right, thank you.
See you next week.
Kiko Wapaman.
Yep, we'll see you. Save that parking spot for me. Oh, wow.
You gotta bring your own phones.
We'll be right back. Robert Liligren next up.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Visit during free Thursday nights. Every week from 5 to 9 p.m., there's something new to explore. Enjoy date-friendly events like artist talks, performances, and exhibition openings, or explore art-making open library hours and exhibition tours. Settle into your weekend among community. Free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
Hello, Minnesota. This is Tom Hartman, and you can catch me every weekday from 11 to 2 right here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's smart radio for smart people.
Time is running out to experience Touche Said So at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis. This powerful exhibition by Daniel Seawalker shares Native stories rooted in collective identity, generational knowledge, and teachings passed down through community. Through bold portraits and vibrant color, the work honors the significance of grandmothers in Native culture and reminds us that sovereignty begins at home. Closing June 6th, don't miss your chance to experience this powerful exhibition. Plan your visit today at allmyrelationsarts.org.
Heart health is more than just the physical well-being. It represents like a foundation of vitality, resilience, and the ability to live fully.
Your heart carries stories of resilience, love, and survival. Caring for your heart means honoring yourself and the generations before and after you. It means protecting your ability to gather, laugh, and be present. Learn more about your heart health at hennepincounty.gov/heart-beats, because your story matters and your heart beats for generations.
This is AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
Programming is supported in part by Health Partners. If you're age 65 plus and qualify for medical assistance, you may also qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. This all-in-one plan bundles Medicare, medical assistance, prescription drug coverage, and dental coverage into one simple $0 premium plan that also includes $0 medical copays. In addition to saving money, you can get lots of extra benefits and perks like a dedicated care coordinator, up to $400 each year in rewards for preventative screenings, transportation, a fitness club membership, and more. This can help you live safely and healthy and independently. If you're a senior on a budget, transportation assistance can be huge. Plus, who couldn't use an extra $400 these days? Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for cloudy skies tonight with a low around 44, Thursday partly sunny with a high near 66, and Friday partly cloudy with a high around 65. Savor the excellence at Maverick's Real Roast Beef in Roseville. Elevate your taste buds with their range of sandwiches from the savory Philly steak to tempting turkey bacon avocado. Explore crispy chicken, fish, brisket, and pulled pork options. Check out mavericksbeef.com or visit them off Lexington and Roseville.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, this is Robert Pilot, and we are here with our friend Robert Liligren, a White Earth Ojibwe citizen and president and CEO of Native American Community Development Institute. And it's always great to talk to you, Robert. And we're coming up on a break here, and we've been celebrating Indian Month all over Minnesota, and it's just been a good feelings and things like that. So it's always good to kind of get into this long weekend and talk to you and see what you're up to.
Yeah, bonjour, Robert. Thanks for having me here. It's always a pleasure. I appreciate our conversation so much. And you're right, there's a lot going on in our communities across the state. In Minnesota, May is American Indian Month. It started back in the 70s. It was an initiative of the American Indian Movement of AIM. It was American Indian Week at the time, and now it's a month. And I just really applaud our communities, both in the urban centers and the tribal communities, for making this meaningful. There's a lot of powwows, festivals, open houses, engagement, and it really feels like something. And it's spilling over, and a lot of not-Native people now are attending all of these events.
Yeah, and it must be really gratifying for you, to be located on Franklin Avenue, the Native Corridor, to see this expansion in many ways of just good things happening. Whether it's the Four Sisters Market that's coming up, and the powwow grounds and the Indian Center and Native American Community Clinic, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, amazing building going on. Just in the last maybe 10 days, I've been part of hosting several groups, national groups, or even statewide philanthropic groups who are coming down to the American Indian Cultural Corridor, and they want to see what we're doing. We have 2 more coming up in the next week, and so it feels good. And one of the super cool things that's going to happen as part of American Indian Month in Minnesota, tomorrow there's going to be a land transfer to Indigenous stewardship in a local church not far from the Cultural Corridor. Our Savior's Lutheran is going to transfer title to a Native group, the Indigenous Protector Movement, and we'll have a ceremony tomorrow. They'll have a ceremony tomorrow. I'll be there for sure at 1:30, and it's at 2322 Elliott Avenue. So just a couple blocks south of Franklin Avenue, 1 block east of Chicago Avenue. But it's a big deal that it's not so much a land back. This was an Indigenous Protector Movement land, but it's putting land under Indigenous stewardship.
Yeah, and we get questions about that, and it's interesting too because I don't know if you remember this, but a few years ago, some land was given to me. I tried to give it to a couple nonprofit organizations, but now I'll be working with a nonprofit in White Bear Township, and an acre of some really beautiful land, and close to Eagle Lake, and I just want to, because we have a lot of our allies listening to the show, just say that that is a thing, and we're able to talk to you about it. At least we don't want no landfill or something close to the freeway, but we'll
Right.
definitely talk to you about it.
Well, but to that, and I will say it is a thing, right? And I've actually had the privilege of being part of a couple of private landowners that wanted to figure out what to do with their land and their wills and to give it back to native folks. And so it does happen. And then we have some big initiatives like Owamni Omni Okudayapi, which is the central riverfront of downtown Minneapolis, where there's a falls. There's movement to put that under native stewardship. We'll see how that goes. Of course, we walk on Teepee. They just had a big event in St. Paul, a very sacred site, talking about land along a freeway, right? There's the Wall of Forgotten Natives, which is the site of an enormous encampment of our unsheltered relatives from 2018. Our State Department of Transportation, MnDOT, is trying to figure out how to put that under native control. Native ownership. So it's happening everywhere, I know, but just right here in our own community, it's really happening.
Yeah, and there's been talk about partnering with Met Council too at the train station right a few blocks away from where you're at. But there's been a lot of good talk about how it should look and feel. And that's really exciting because the worst thing we can get is somebody go, "Hey, this is a native corridor. Let's put up a teepee or something,"
Right.
Not talk to anyone.
We always say, put a feather on it, right?
Yeah.
Put a feather on it. But I'm glad you brought up the Met Council. And so our light rail station is right on the American Indian Culture Corridor on Franklin Avenue. It's a little over 20 years old now. And so this station is being redesigned and rebuilt. We have a native architect, the brilliant Sam Olbekson, who happens to be the chair of my board at NACDI, is part of the project team there as well. And one of the groups will be touring in about 2 weeks. It's called Impact with a capital M. It used to be called Railvolution, but it's a rail advocacy group national. And they'll be coming to the cultural corridor, really focusing on that light rail project and just all the development going on. But I'm glad you brought up the Met Council. And so Met Council is our regional government here, 7 counties within the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. And I serve as a Met Council member. I was appointed by the governor. And nearing the end of my second term, I'm the first tribal citizen to ever serve on the Met Council. And we just really opened up the conversation. And you've been part of this, Robert, on the American Indian Advisory Council. But we did something right there. And a lot of folks are trying to engage Native perspective, Native people, center Native voices. And I don't think everyone's having as much success as we've had at Met Council. And the country's noticing. I was in Detroit. We're going to go there. Other national groups want to learn what we did here. But just this last Monday, we had a presentation based on some of your work on the American Indian Advisory Council about place naming and renaming and reclaiming places, and really steered by the American Indian Advisory Council. A special work group came together, and this was all presented on Monday to the committee I chair at Met Council, Community Development Committee. And I just got to say, we were talking about it, and as part of the public discourse, just how different it is now that we can sit and have this policy conversation, and it's so respectful. The Native people who are participating in it feel respected and heard. Folks are seeing their contributions reflected in the policy and planning that we do at the Metropolitan Council. And it wasn't that long ago, Robert, that everything was a fight. You'd be in rooms like this, and you always felt like you were fighting the system. And now it's like, okay, the system is learning, growing. I was just thinking back to the renaming of one of Minneapolis' premier lakes, Bedemakoska.
Yeah.
And that was a fight. That was a movement, right? The Brilliant Bean family created a movement to reclaim that name, Bedemakoska, and drop the name of a slaveholding Confederate that the lake had been named after. And
That never lived here.
That never lived here. Yeah. And so it feels very different. Someone at our time of life, at my time of life, I'm so used to the fight, right? So I've got to relearn and rethink, and it doesn't have to be a battle every day.
Yeah, it's real interesting too. Junior high that I went to in St. Paul was called Ramsey Junior High, and the students changed it because we all know Alexander Ramsey was not a friend of Native Americans or African Americans, and changed it to Hidden River. And because there was a river underneath where that school was, and they did research. So there's things like that happening. I like, there's some organizations that I've been invited to, and the first things they want to talk about is land acknowledgement. And I always want to say, we know this is our land. I think this is your acknowledgement.
We need to acknowledge it. Right.
Right.
And then one of the things we learned about that, we had an intern that did some research on existing park names and waterways names. And we had this big lesson on Phelan, Lake Phelan is a very, very popular lake in St. Paul. He was a really bad guy. He was charged with murder. Those were clear, but then he was murdered by his associates. He was was a land thief. He was not a good guy. And every time we say Phelan, I think, oh, he must have been a good guy. He must have done good things for the community. Well, he didn't. And so in these place names, we're celebrating something. We don't even always know what it is, but this is very refreshing. I think you'll see more action out of the Met Council on this place naming.
That is awesome. And we know too that there's an orange guy that's naming everything after himself, and we can't wait for the celebration of however he leaves and unname all these things.
Right. And at the same time, with this elevation of awareness of Indigenous place names, and
yes,
we know how important place is to Native people and naming things. And so, yeah, at this point in my career and my generational trajectory, this just feels really good.
Robert, I always thought about this and for you to write a book, because one of the things that's really interesting, because we're relatively the same age, is how Franklin has changed with all the bars that were on there and things like that, and how it's slowly changed into the corridor. And then also we have our Smalley relatives that live close to us. And but there's a history of that street, Franklin Avenue, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I grew up in the far north metro. My dad worked downtown, but this is where my parents came down and socialized, right? They'd go to the bars on Franklin Avenue. That's where the community met. It wasn't the healthiest of meeting places, but at least it was a place. In half a century later, the corridor is still very strongly identified with Native people. There's a lot of cultures down there: East African, Somali, Latino, Norwegian. There's a church on the corridor where they still do services in Norwegian. So the Mindekirken, and so it is this cultural mix that has endured, but it's very different than it was when we were kids.
Wow, absolutely. Hey, we're getting good medicine here from our friend Robert Liligren, our White Earth Ojibwe relative and president and CEO of Native American Community Development Institute. We'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. Ho!
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Visit during free Thursday nights. Every week from 5 to 9 p.m., there's something new to explore. Enjoy date-friendly events like artist talks, performances, and exhibition openings, or explore art-making open library hours and exhibition tours. Settle into your weekend among community. Free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Oh!
Oh!
I always like that little rar, Wendy doing the bear on that little roll in. So, hey, we have so much to talk about, but one of the things I really enjoy about you and in our conversations is that we can also talk about what's happening nationally and locally, politically, but we can also, and I think what we're doing and have been doing the last segment is celebrating our community. And I really appreciate that talk more so.
Agreed. There is so much going on, and we were just talking about this I was just talking about this with my coworker, the brilliant Angela Two Stars, who's the Vice President of Arts and Culture at NACDI, and she's the Director of All My Relations Arts Gallery, and she is an internationally recognized public artist. Brilliant. And we were talking about this, in that we're so conditioned in our community, or we have been, to view the world with a filter of scarcity, right? A mentality of scarcity. Right. But as you just pointed out, Robert, there is so much going on here. And you can see as the next generations come up, they're just expressing their love of culture, language, traditional ways and things. And so we were talking about how that filter of scarcity, that mentality of scarcity, really has prohibited us from seeing sometimes all of this plenty that we have in our community.
Yeah, I agree too. And sometimes it slides into the colonized thinking that I can't share. And that's one of the things that we've talked about over the years here on Native Roots Radio with you, is how nonprofits aren't that way anymore here, that they work together and they share together and they work. And that's something I think the whole country can look at, but also other Native communities around the Turtle Island.
I love that you say that, Robert. And just at one of our tours this week, it was for the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits. No, it wasn't the Council of Nonprofits. Anyway, it was philanthropic. It was philanthropy in the room. We started at the Indian Center. They walked up and down the cultural corridor, but I was sitting there. I was the elder of our panel by far, and we had brilliant young leaders like Crow Belcourt, Clyde Belcourt's son, who's just really stepping in as a cultural carrier, Rachel Dion Thunder and Vinnie Dion, who founded the Indigenous Protector Movement, Many Shield Society, Women's Warrior Society. But they were talking about what you just talked about, was that and Dr. Anthony Stately, as a matter of fact, from Native American Community Clinic, about how we work collaboratively and build everybody up, at the institutional level anyway, the organizational level, but the community level. And I will say that did not happen overnight. It was deliberate, it was strategic, and those of us who run nonprofits have been sitting together at tables for 12, 15 years, trying to do that and trying not to compete with each other for resources and trying to work collaboratively to support our relatives. And having been at it for 15 years or so, it does feel like there is some momentum. We certainly can point to a lot going on in the community that has happened because of this, what I think of as an Indigenous and collaborative approach.
Definitely the way to go, and it's been going that way. And I know firsthand too that especially Native American Community Development Institute applauds people's success, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about you and the group you work with, and specifically, I just got to give you a quick shout out about that. Is that the culture there is very supportive around everybody that's in the circle.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. Very kind. But we do lift each other up, and we have that crabs in a bucket, right, mentality sometimes in our community, and so we just set that aside, and it's lift up people's successes. And at NACDI, Native American Community Development Institute, our approach is an Indigenous one, taught to me by a brilliant elder, Linda Eagle speaker. This idea of care for yourself first, then care for your family, and then care for the community or the organization. And we've been doing this approach since the COVID era, and it has been transformational on our work and how we deliver things for the community, but it's just starting to have some organizational impact. I'll do a little bit of a humble brag. I had an HR professional this week commenting on this approach that we take at NACDI, and she said, "You guys are visionaries. You are visionaries in what you're doing here," and so it feels good.
Yeah, it definitely does. And as you know, I'm kind of in a micro way being able to do that with my crew with Native Roots Radio, and soon my crew with the Circle, is to really take care of yourself and definitely first, and definitely keep in touch and let me know. I'm human too.
Yeah, for sure. And you gotta believe it, right? I mean, if someone I'm working with says I can't make this meeting or I need this staff, I don't have to know why. I
Right.
trust that you're taking care of yourself, right? And taking care of your family. And we've put in place a lot of permissive HR types of policies and leave, and the kind of dirty little secret is that folks at NACDI deliver so much more in their job performance because they come to work, they're taken care of, their families are taken care of. I don't even care if they don't come to work as long as they're getting their work done somewhere, right? And it's been a joy. I don't understand why more employers don't operate this way. Rather it's sort of a regulated, sort of policed kind of workplace, and actually it's not, and people give so much more than I have any right to expect them to give.
Well, that's interesting too, and I don't know if you mind, because I know other organizations have reached out to you specifically about how the organizations run. How can people get a hold of you, and if they want to have a consultation with you about how to change your ways of thinking more native?
Yeah, thanks for asking. And the easiest way would be just go to the NACDI website. So it's NACDI, Native American Community Development Institute.org, NACDI.org. And you can get to me or to any of our staff as well. And I would love to share it. I would love to share it. And like I said, this was taught to me by an elder, the brilliant Linda Eagle speaker. When she was teaching me, I kept rejecting it. I'm like, oh no, we can't take care of ourselves. We're Indigenous. We take care of the whole. And she would say, that's the colonizer's way, Robert, the indigenous way. Care for yourself, until I just finally decided to believe her. I didn't have any proof or anything, but I thought, okay, I'll do this. And I just saw how transformational it was for me, and then started to teach my coworkers this, and they rejected it, right? They're like, oh no, that's not how we do things. It's just not how we're conditioned. But you gotta really believe it, right? Believe it's gonna work, and it does.
Well, thanks, Robert. Have a great holiday weekend, and I really, really appreciate your weekly insights. And wow, great work, and this was a great show, and I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man.
Right on. Hey, if you're listening to the show, you're part of the resistance from Chief Plenty Coops, the ground in which we stand on. It's sacred ground. It's the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, run for office, and vote. We're still here. We are the 7th generation. Everyone have a safe day. We'll see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio.